I hope. Okay.
Now we can see your screen.
Okay, Mataji, right. Thank you. Okay, I'll just start my camera as well. Okay. All right. So we'll start with a simple bhajan. जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यमुनतीरवनचारि जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यमुनतीरवनचारि जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यमुनतीरवनचारि जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय हो राधा मदन मोहन राधे जय हो राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधे जय हो राधा गोवर्धन धारी राधे जय हो राधा दामोदर राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय कृष्णा जय कृष्णा जय कृष्णा जय श्री कृष्ण जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भाव तुम्हें जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भाव तुम्हें निताई गौरांगो गौर हरि जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि पतित पावाना गौर हरि जय शालिग्राम, जय शालिग्राम, जय शालिग्राम, जय जय शालिग्राम, जय लड्डू गोपाल, जय लड्डू गोपाल, जय लड्डू गोपाल, जय जय लड्डू गोपाल, जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय गुरुदेव, 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 जय जय गुरुदेव, नित्य गौरा हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, नित्य गौर हरि बोल। श्रील गुरुदेव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। We'll do the prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा, हरे कृष्णा, कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा, हरे रामा, राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा, हरे कृष्णा, कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा, हरे रामा, राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा, हरे कृष्णा, कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा, हरे रामा, राम राम हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय, नमः पङ्कजमालिने, नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय, नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रहे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गौब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे श्री विष्णु श्री विष्णु श्री विष्णु Hare Krishna Prabhujis and Matajis, my Dandvat Pranam to each one of you. Thank you for joining the class. So today is Amla Ekadashi, and so today the significance is we worship the Amla tree also. It is said that Lord Vishnu resides in that Amla tree, and hence that tree is worshipable. When Lord Vishnu started the creation, right? Or he started the creation to Brahmaji. He first brought Brahma, and along with that, he brought the Amla tree also. So this tree is considered very sacred in our Vedic traditions, and we worship that tree. And because it is said that Lord Vishnu resides in that tree, Amla tree, Vraksha tree. So the other tree, we worship these trees because it is said Lord Vishnu resides in that, and they are considered to be very holy. So today is Amla Ekadashi, and we will continue our discussion with Srimad Bhagavatam, discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam. So unfortunately, yesterday, due to some technical problem, the class got interrupted in midway. So we were discussing this shlokas from 8 to 12, and these shlokas describe the 30 qualities of a human being. It's not talking about any Brahmana, Shudra, Vaishya, or Kshatriya, but it is talking about the qualities which must be present in a human being. Unless you have these qualities, you cannot be called as human being. And these are not easy qualities to acquire. If we look at it, truthfulness in today's day and time, this is very difficult. Truthfulness is, it is just this small limb of dharma which is still present. Truthfulness, otherwise all the three other legs have been destroyed. Truthfulness, mercy, we can see this is again very difficult. Austerity, bathing twice a day, it might be possible. Going down few years, considering the way the water scarcity is increasing, this might also become very difficult. Tolerance, discrimination, and so on and so forth. So there are these 30 qualities which are mentioned, and we were discussing about this translation here, about there is a one particular thing, right? Gramya iha upaharaha, right? This was Prabhupada translating it as not taking part in so-called philanthropic activities. Actually, this means not taking part in mundane activities, or whatever mundane things are going on around, you are not interested in that, right? That is what it means. But Prabhupada specifically translates it to not taking part in so-called philanthropic activities. And the reason being that people become too puffed up with philanthropic activities, and by the way, we were trying to discuss that ISKCON also does philanthropic activities, right? We There are some hospitals, there are Food for Life. ISKCON also does it. Then how come you can synchronize these things? See, the point here is some people take it as their life and soul to do philanthropic activities. They just want to serve the body, and but 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 if you look at in ISKCON, that is not the life and soul. The life and soul in ISKCON is to become a devotee of Krishna. And the some of these byproducts are the philanthropic activities, not the main goal. You can see many institutions where this becomes the life and soul, doing philanthropic activities. And that is what is condemned, right? Not philanthropic activities as such, but making philanthropic activities the only life and soul of your existence. That is what is a problem, because that makes you puffed up, and you start feeling that nothing can happen without me, right? That feeling comes up. So that's why Prabhupada has translated it in this way. Okay. I just wanted to bring this up because this was little, when I read this, this was something which I was little difficult for me to understand. Then I read and I heard some lectures, and that's where somebody clarified that this is what it means and why this was translated. In fact, Keshav Prabhuji, who had come to our center, right? He had explained this very nicely. Let's move ahead. So we'll start with the 13th text. So we are this chapter talks about the divisions, and we have discussed all that, right? So let's continue. We'll read the translation and also try to read the purport wherever possible. Okay. So I will start with this translation of 7.11.13. So those who have been reformed by the Garbhadana ceremony and other prescribed reformatory methods performed with Vedic mantras and without interruption, and who have been approved by Lord Brahma are Dvijas or twice born. Such Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, purified by their family traditions and by their behavior, should worship the Lord, study the Vedas, and give charity. In this system, they should follow the principles of four ashramas: Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, after giving a general list of 30 qualifications for one's behavior, Narad Muni now describes the principles of the four varnas and four ashramas. A human being must be trained in the above 30 qualities, otherwise, he is not even a human being. Then, among such qualified persons, the Varnashrama process should be introduced. In the Varnashrama system, the first ceremony for purification is Garbhadhana, which is performed with mantras at the time of sex for propagating a good child. One who uses sex life not for sensual pleasure but only to beget children, according to the reformatory method, is also accepted as a brahmachari. One should not waste semen on sensual pleasure, violating the principles of Vedic life. Restraint in sex is possible, however, only when the populace is trained in the above mentioned 30 qualities. Otherwise, it is not possible. Even if one is born in a family of Dvijas or twice born, if they have not followed the reformatory process, he is called a Dvija Bandhu, not one of the twice born, but a friend of the twice born. The whole purpose of the system is to create good population. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, when women are polluted, the populace is Varna Shankara. And when Varna Shankara population increases, the situation of the entire world becomes hellish. Therefore, all the Vedic literature strongly warn against creating Varna Shankara population. When this Varna Shankara population, the people cannot be properly controlled for peace and prosperity, regardless of great legislative assemblies, parliaments, and similar bodies. Hare Krishna. So, uh, so here now we have started looking at the qualifications or uh, I mean, who is known as a Brahmana, who is known as a Kshatriya, who is known as a Vaishya. So all the qualities of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas will be described. And so the for the starting, people who are born after performing this Garbhadana Sanskara can be either a Kshatriya, Brahmana, or Vaishya, right? Depending on their, I mean, it is not just by birth, but depending on, it is most likely possible that if you perform this ceremony I mean, it is done with Vedic mantras, and it is very, very necessary. Nowadays, people don't do these ceremonies, and we can see the population is mostly, as what Prabhupada says, Varna Shankara. Varna Shankara means what? Varna Shankara means they are neither Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, or Shudras. They are, I mean, you cannot distinguish between who is who, right? In today's world, day and time, you cannot distinguish whether he's a Brahmana, he's a Kshatriya, he's a Vaishya, or a Shudra, right? And 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 in fact, even lower than them. So a Varna Shankara population is where there are no divisions in the society, where what is mentioned here. And we can see that very clearly in today's day and time. Uh, and uh, and the population of this Varna Shankaras is increasing day by day, and we can see the situation of the world today. There are so many fights, corruption, all kinds of problems, no peace in the society, and everything is. And that's why the people have so much anxiety in their lives as well, right? We are always in anxiety. What will happen next, right? It is because of uh, this increase in the Varna Shankara population, and because we are going away from the Vedic way of life, right? So we'll move ahead. Text 14. Anybody would want to read the translation?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. For the Brahmana, there are six occupational duties. A Kshatriya should not accept charity, but he may perform the other five of these duties. A king or a Kshatriya is not allowed to levy taxes on Brahmanas, but he may make his livelihood by levying minimal taxes, custom duties, and penalty fines upon his other subjects. Purport. Purport. Need to read purport also, Prabhu?
No, Prabhuji, I will
Oh,
explain this, not a problem.
okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So for the Brahmanas, there are six What are those six occupational duties? Study Vedas, teach Vedas, right? Then uh, worship the deities and teach people to worship the deities, right? They themselves worship the deities and also teach people to worship the deities. They give charity and also take charity. So these are the six duties of a Brahmana, right? What are the six, right? Study the Vedas, teach the Vedas, worship the deities, and teach the worship of deities to others, and take charity and give charity. Now, for a Kshatriya, he can perform the rest of the five duties, but he cannot accept a charity, right? That's what is mentioned. A Kshatriya should not accept charity, but he may perform the other five duties. And a Kshatriya king or a Kshatriya is he has some rights and some responsibilities, right? That is what is called here. What are the rights of a Kshatriya? He has the right to levy taxes, custom duties, and penalties upon whom he is protecting. So he has that right. And what is his responsibility? His responsibility is to make sure that everyone is protected and everyone is taken care of. That is what is the responsibility of the Kshatriya. Like just like we pay taxes to the government, we expect something from the government, right? So the Kshatriya has some rights and he has some responsibilities. Similarly, for the Brahmana, it is he has the right to accept charity, and he also has a responsibility to give charity. Now you might say, why would a Brahmana should give charity? In order to show by his behavior that giving charity is important, right? A Brahmana always gives charity also, not just accepts charity, right? And he sustains his livelihood by performing only these six duties. For example, he cannot take up or he cannot take salary from somebody. Now, why is that mentioned? Because the Brahmana must always be independent. He must not become. See, once you start accepting salary or some favor from somebody, you become endowed to them, right? You become obliged to them. A Brahmana is never supposed to be obliged to anybody. Then only he can perform his duties properly. Now, a very good example of this is Dronacharya, right? He became obliged to the Kuru dynasty because they were kind of giving him, I mean, right? So that's why Dronacharya could not take decisions independently. He was a Brahmana, right? But then he became obliged and then he fought for Duryodhana. So that's why a Brahmana must never become obliged to anybody, correct? So that he is independent, he can always perform his duties properly. And you can see another example of this is Chanakya Pandit, right? He was never obliged to the king. He was very independent. If the king did not listen to him, he would simply say, I'm not I'm going to leave the kingdom. right? He was never obliged to the king. And another example is Dronacharya, where he became obliged to the Kuru dynasty, right? So it is mentioned in our scriptures that a Brahmana should never become obliged to anybody, and a Kshatriya cannot levy taxes on the Brahmana. This is what is the verdict of the scriptures, and that's why Prabhupada in the purport mentions that the members of the Krishna conscious society should not be taxed. This is what is mentioned in the purport, right? Okay. And there is an example given of, see, the Shastras especially stress that if one claims to be a Brahmana, he cannot engage in the service of anyone else. Otherwise, he at once falls from his position and becomes a Shudra. And then example is given of Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami because they were engaged in the service of Nawab. They were ostracized from the Brahmanical society. That example is given. So for a Brahmana, he has to be independent, not taking any salary or working for anybody. He is maintaining himself by way of getting charity because he is doing Vedic rituals and ceremonies. By that also he gets charity, or he is teaching, he's giving Brahma Gyan to others, and by that he gains charity, and that is how he sustains his livelihood. Okay, and so the Brahmanas must never be obliged to anybody, right? Let's move ahead. Text 15. Uh, Anybody want to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Shall I read?
Go ahead, Mataji. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Praveen Prabhuji, you read the next one.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Always follow the directions of Brahmanas and engage in such occupational duties as agriculture, trade, and protection of cows. For the Shudras, the only duty is to accept a master from a higher social order and engage.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. So now comes the Vaishyas, right? So we discussed about Brahmanas, Kshatriyas. Now comes Vaishyas. Their occupational duty is agriculture, trading, and protection of the cows. So these are the three activities. And you can see that Lord Krishna was born in the Vaishya community, right? Nanda Maharaj was involved in agriculture, protection of cows, and Lord Krishna was born in this community, Vaishya community, right? And their duty is to do agriculture, provide for everybody's needs, basically. So the Vaishyas are supposed to do agriculture, produce the grains, and whatever extra grains are there, they can trade that. They are responsible for the protection of cows. Now our Shastras say that 5 category of people or things must be protected. First is the Brahmanas. Second is the cows. Third is women. Fourth is children. And fifth are elders. All these 5 categories must be protected. Now, why Brahmanas must be protected? Because they are the head, right? If the Brahmanas are destroyed, the Vedic knowledge will be lost. The Vedic tradition will be lost. And we can see that today, since there are no Brahmanas or proper qualified Brahmanas or very few qualified Brahmanas, the Vedic tradition is slowly going away, right? Second is cows must be protected, right? Here also it is mentioned protection of cows. So the cows must be protected because cows provide milk, and milk is a very, very essential thing because it provides that intelligence to understand the Shastra. When you drink milk, your brain gets nourished and it helps you to understand the Shastras. And that's why the cows must be protected. And it is also said that all the demigods reside in the cows, and hence the cow must be protected. Lord Krishna himself shows it by his own example, how he protected the cows, how he loved the cows. Everything related to our, I mean, you look at Goloka, right? This is where the cows stay, right? It is a land of cows. Goloka means go means cows, and Loka means land, right? So, or a country. So or a planet. So the Goloka is essentially a place for cows, right? And if you want to go to that place, you have to love cows, right? If you say I don't love cows, then sorry, you cannot get into Goloka. So protection of cows is very important. Then comes protection of women, right? Why women must be protected? Because now we saw that in the previous shloka itself, that if women are polluted, Bhagavad Gita says that if women are polluted, then Varna Shankara population increases. Then children must be protected. Why children must be protected? Because they are the future, right? Obvious. They are the future of the next generation. They are the next generation, right? They are the ones who will then take up all the responsibilities. If they are not protected, and if they have a bad childhood, they will become bad, right? Once they grow up. So the children must be protected. And then why elders must be protected? The elders must be protected because then they can have a better next life. They can prepare themselves for their better next life. If the elders are not protected, then they cannot prepare themselves for a good next life. So you can see that this Vedic tradition thinks about not just this life, but the life next also, right? So it's such a scientific process and scientific thought and scientific division, and everything was done in such a way that the stress was given on all the important things, so that there is peace and prosperity, such that it can lead to us going towards God. That was the main goal of all this division and system which was there, correct? To become Krishna conscious, or to become a devotee of the Lord. Okay. uh, so for the Vaishya community is I mean, we can see, right? Even today also, you see there are so many big businessmen, right? But they are allowed to earn money, but that money should not be used for their own sense gratification. They are supposed to use it for protection of cows, protection of dharma, right? And we can see so many industrialists where they maintain temples, donate to the temples, donate lavishly, right? I mean, we don't even come to know, but then they are doing that, and it is all coming from here. See, why do you think, like, I have, just to give an example, I used to stay, I mean, my father used to work for a Birla company, okay? And we used to stay in a colony called Birla Colony. Now, in that colony, there was a temple of Lord Ramchandra in the center. Right in the center of the colony, there was a temple of Lord Ramchandra, and the deities were very well taken care of. It was not just that they had built the temple and that's it done. No, the deities were very well taken care of. Everything was so well done. So you can see that how this, I mean, this culture has come. This culture is coming from these scriptures, right? The scriptures tell us that the mercantile community has to do all this, and you can see a lot of examples of big industrialists also following this. Okay, let's move ahead. Text 16. Anybody would want to? Praveen Prabhu, can you read the translation?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Trans- As an alternative, a Brahmana may also take to the Vaishya's occupational duty of agriculture, cow protection, or trade. He may depend on that which he has received without begging. He may beg in the paddy fields every day. He may collect paddy left in the field by its proprietor. Or he may collect food grains left here and there in the shops of grain dealers. These are four means of livelihood that may also be adopted by Brahmana. Among these four, each of them in succession is better than the one preceding it. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So I mean, I talked about those six things which a Brahmana can do. Now, the scriptures also say that a Brahmana may do a occupational duty of agriculture, cow protection, and even trade. Now, how can they do that? So they might get land in donation, right? So then they can do agriculture. Now, to do agriculture, you need cows and bulls, right? So they can also do cow protection. Now, after doing agriculture, you might have some surplus. So he may even do some small trading, right? It's not it does not become his sole business, but then since he has got some charity, and he can use that charity to do all these things. And then there are a few things mentioned here that he may uh, depend on, which that is charity, right? He may depend on charity. He may even beg. He may even beg. It's allowed, but then not. I mean, madhukari, right? We say so that those things are also mentioned here. That's all. But he cannot become a servant to somebody, right? There is no mention of, as I said earlier, also he cannot take up a service, or he cannot become obliged to anybody, right? None of these make him obliged to anything, right? He's just taking what is left. So he's not taking something which is like, please give me, or like that. Whatever is left, he has taken that. So that's what a brahmana can do. Okay. But he cannot take up a service or become a dependent on somebody, right? 17th. Anybody want to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I will read Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Translations and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: except in a time of emergency, lower persons should not accept the occupational duties of those who are higher. When there is such an emergency, of course, everyone but the Kshatriya may accept the means of livelihood of others. Purport.
Right. Yeah, go ahead, Mataji. This purport is important. Let's read it.
The occupational duty of a Brahmana should not be accepted by persons in lower social orders, especially Vaishyas and Shudras. For example, an occupational duty of a Brahmana is to teach Vedic knowledge, but unless there is an emergency, this professional duty should not be accepted by Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, or Shudras. Even a Kshatriya cannot accept the duties of a Brahmana unless there is an emergency, and then even if he does, so he should not accept charity from anyone else. Sometimes Brahmanas protest against our Krishna consciousness movement for creating Brahmanas from Europeans, or in other words, from Mlechas and Yavanas. This movement, however, is here supported in Srimad Bhagavatam. At the present moment, society is in a chaotic condition and everyone has given up the cultivation of spiritual life, which is especially meant for the Brahmanas. Because the spiritual culture has been stopped all over the world, there is now an emergency, and therefore it is now time to train those who are considered lower and condemned so that they may become Brahmanas and take up the work of spiritual progress. The spiritual progress of human society has been stopped, and this should be considered an emergency. Here is solid support from Narada Muni of the movement known as Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So now Prabhupada was very heavily criticized, right, by other people. Just a moment. Yeah, sorry. So Srila Prabhupada was heavily criticized for giving sannyas to Europeans and other white body people, saying that these are Melechas and Yavanas. How can you make them Brahmanas? And this is what the shloka says. There is an emergency, right? In an emergency, since the human society is going down and this is an emergency, a person in a lower order can take up duties of a person in a higher order, right? But still some things are still not allowed, right? It's said that kshatriya may a kshatriya may take up the duties of brahmana, but he cannot still accept charity, right? A vaishya may take up some of the duties, but again certain things are not allowed, right? And since it is an emergency, people in the lower order must be trained to become brahmanas. And that's what Prabhupada is telling here. The spiritual culture has been stopped all over the world, and there is now an emergency. And Narad Muni is saying that in case of emergency, this is to be done. So that's a uh, clear indication that whenever there is an emergency, this can be done, and that's what is the justification Prabhupada is saying, that whatever I have done in order to spread this Vedic culture, in order to bring up the human society, in order to elevate the human society, is all acceptable because the Shastras support it. And here is a shloka which actually allows uh, Narad Muni himself is saying. And how did Narad Muni know all this? Because Lord told him this, right? Because Narad Muni said in the beginning itself, I am going to describe to you this division of human society, which I have heard from Lord Narayan. So this is all coming from the Lord directly. It's not that Narad Muni is interpreting and telling us even that. No, this is coming from the Lord himself, who is telling that in case of emergency, this need to be done. And that's why um, this is all justified and correct. Okay. Uh, right. Let's move ahead. Shloka 18 to 20. Anybody want to read? I'll go ahead.
I'll read more.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
In the time of emergency, one may accept any of the various types of professions known as Rita, Amrita, Vrita, Pramrita, and Satyarita. But one should not at any time accept the profession of the dog. The profession of the Uncha Sila, collecting grains from the fields, is called Rita. Collecting without begging is called Amrita. Begging grains is called Mrita. Tilling the ground is called Pramrita. Uh, Pramrita, yeah. And trade is called Satyanrita. Engaging in the service of the low-grade persons, however, is called Swariti, the profession of the dogs. Especially Brahmanas and Kshatriyas should not engage in the low and abdominal service of the Shudras. Brahmanas should be well acquainted with all the Vedic knowledge, and Kshatriyas should be well acquainted with the worship of the demigods. Correct.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. So again, this there is a technical description now. Rita, Amrita, Amrita, Pramrita, and Satyanrita, right? So a higher class person doing the duties of a lower class person, it's called as Sattva Vritti, right? That word comes here, which is Sat Swariti, Swariti, not Satvariti. Swariti, which is the profession of dogs, right? A person who is a Kshatriya should not become a Shudra, right? That's why in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna says, right, I will sustain my life by becoming a beggar rather than trying to fight, Lord Krishna does not allow that, right? Because for a Kshatriya, ruling or administering a kingdom is very important. It would have meant that Arjuna would be doing the profession of the dogs, right? That's what the scriptures say, right? It's called Swavriti, the profession of the dog. So this is not allowed. And uh, why is this said that this should not be done? Because it leads to chaos in the society, right? Very clear. It leads to very clear chaos in the society, especially for the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, right? Because they are very, very important. If the Brahmanas are gone, the society becomes headless, right? It is said that the Brahmana is like, if you compare it to the body, the Brahmanas are the head. And if the Brahmanas are not there, then the society will become headless without brain. And we can see that very clearly in today's society, that this is a society without brain. We don't know what is right, what is wrong. Whatever looks good, whoever has some influence or money, whatever they do is considered to be great. But that is not how it is. And that is because the Brahmanical culture or the society has been destroyed. And it is destroyed for this very particular purpose also, right? See, this division or this culture is based on the principle of sacrifice, right? In order to follow this, you have to sacrifice certain things. You have to sacrifice enjoying your senses. You have to, I mean, there is a limited enjoyment and all that is there, but then that this life according to Varnashrama system is a life of sacrifice, right? You have to sacrifice certain things. A Brahmana has to sacrifice a lot of things. A Kshatriya has to sacrifice a lot of things. Even a Shudra has to sacrifice a lot of things, right? So people don't want to lead this life of sacrifice, and hence they don't want to follow this Vedic principle of life, and hence it is like has become, as Kali Yuga is progressing, and since people don't want to lead this life of sacrifice, everything is going down the drain, and it will go worse from here. It's not that it will improve. It's going to go down and down and down and down. That's what is going to happen. But one thing which I would want to say here is, even if this division is mentioned and all that is there, it's not a division for exploitation. See, the purpose of this division is to elevate human beings to the platform of becoming devotees of the Lord, right? That's the aim of that human life. And in order to achieve that aim, according to what a person can do, this division is done. So this is our very natural division. If you look at it, it's not an unnatural or forced upon division, right? It's a very natural division. But since it is a division which requires some sacrifices, people don't want to follow it, and it has now condemned to such a level that any discussion if you do on this, it's like I mean, people just don't want to listen to all this, right? That's what the state of the affairs is right now. But as devotees of the Lord, where we have the mercy to understand this from the scriptures, we can see that this is a very, very scientific system, and it helps to elevate to the platform of becoming a devotee of the Lord. Uh, and uh, and as mentioned here, see the why so much focus is given on the Brahmanas, right? Why is it that because they are the top class people, right? They are the people who I mean, it's like they decide the course of the human society, right? Once we have very good Brahmanas, the human society will take the right direction, and hence the focus is on the Brahmanas, right? It's not that it that the Lord just want to favor them, right? We have seen this in the last pastime also. The Lord does not favor even the demons or the demigods, right? He is equal to everybody. So it's not that the Lord wants to say that I am only favoring the Brahmanas. No, it's because of the role they play, that 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 is why they are given that importance. Okay, let's move ahead. So that's what is mentioned in the scripture, this also, and very clearly this was, I mean, I've told that this system has come from the Supreme Lord himself. It's not that it is created by somebody else. Okay. 21. Mm,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The symptoms of a Brahmana are the symptoms of Brahmanas are control of the mind, control of the senses, austerity and penance, cleanliness, satisfaction, forgiveness, simplicity, knowledge, mercy, truthfulness, and complete surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. In the institution of Varnashrama Dharma, the symptom of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, uh,
Brahmachari.
Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi are all described. The ultimate aim of
Achyutatvam.
Achyutatvam, to think always of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna or Vishnu. To make advancement in Krishna consciousness, one has to become Brahmanas with the above mentioned symptoms. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now the qualities of the Brahmana is getting described. So first we saw the duties, right? of a Brahmana, what he has to do, what a Kshatriya has to do, what a Vaishya has to do, and what a Shudra has to do. Now we are coming to the qualities of a Brahmana. So what are the qualities of a Brahmana, or what are the symptoms? How do you judge a person is a Brahmana or not? Right? I mean, we said this is a Varnashrama system, right? So what are his qualities, right? These are the qualities. So control of the mind, control of the senses, austerity and penance, cleanliness, satisfaction, forgiveness, simplicity, knowledge, mercy, truthfulness, and complete surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? These are the qualities of, or the symptoms of a Brahmana. These are the symptoms which are needed for somebody to be called a Brahmana. Right? So his activities and his qualities, both of them are described here. Right? Control of the mind, control of the senses, very, very important, right? It not an easy thing. We all are struggling, and not an easy thing. So austerity, penance, cleanliness. Now you might say these are all mentioned in those 30 qualities also. How come these are different, right? That are there also cleanliness, bathing twice, satisfaction, being satisfied, forgiveness, simplicity, knowledge. These are the qualities which were mentioned in those 30 qualities also, right? But here a very important point is that complete surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? The Brahmanas are completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the general mass of people, I mean, this is the duty of the Brahmana, to actually make people surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by their own example. Okay. And you can see that people who are real Brahmanas, you can see the effulgence on their face, the happiness on their face, right? That you can clearly make out that this person is happy, and he's a Brahmana, right? You go to a temple, right? You see a priest there who is nicely serving the deities. You can see that happiness and effulgence on his face, right? You will feel it, right? He's not morose. He's not like thinking, or not doing it well, right? You can see that happiness. He's so happy while giving prasad also, while doing anything, right? You can see that happiness on their face. So they are the real Brahmanas, who are completely self-satisfied, and who are completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of God, right? So this is the symptoms or the qualities of a Brahmana. Okay, let's and one important, right? This sloka has this word achyut atmamam, right? So see, samo damas tapa saucham, right? Santosha shantir arjavam, and then jnanam, he has knowledge, and then daya, and then achyut atvam, which means accepting oneself as an eternal servant of the Lord. So the Brahmanas, and that's what means the complete surrender to the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Okay, Brahma Lakshanam, right? These are the symptoms of a Brahmana. Let's move 22. Anybody would want to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, please go ahead.
Translation. To be influential in battle, unconquerable, patient, challenging, and charitable, to control the worldly necessities, to be forgiving, to be attached to the Brahminical nature, and to be always jolly and truthful. These are the symptoms of the Kshatriya. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So these are the qualities of a Kshatriya. To be influential in battle, I mean, it means to be a good administrator, to not be weak. See, the Kshatriyas are supposed to punish people who do wrong. You cannot, I mean, you cannot say, oh, I mean, you cannot be, what to say, weak hearted, right? You have to be strong and unconquerable, patient, right? Patient, unconquerable, patient, challenging, and charitable. Now, what does challenging mean? Challenging means if anybody challenges you, you accept the challenge, right? That's what is challenging, right? You take challenges, right? If somebody challenges you for something, you accept it. And you can see that in olden times, when somebody used to challenge, or That's why Yudhishthir Maharaj, when he was challenged for a gambling match, he accepted it, right? That's what the meaning is. And charitable, control the bodily necessities. They are very, very strong. And you can see the soldiers, right? Today also, the soldiers are trained for this, very specifically trained for this, that they can survive even in hostile environments, um, survive in hostile terrains, right? So why they can do it? Because they can control their bodily necessities. They can uh, take that pain, they can take that uh, physical uh, uh, harm and everything, right? So they are trained to control the bodily necessities, to be forgiving also. Now you can see this you might think is like a little opposite. I mean, like, you have, the Kshatriyas are supposed to punish people, but at the same time, they are also supposed to be forgiving. Now, how does that matter, or how can we understand this? Forgiving in terms of, like, somebody who has done the offense for the first time, right? For them, they are forgiving. They are forgiving to their subordinates, right? Who make mistakes, but not forgiving to people who commit offenses, right? So this is what it means. They are forgiving, they to especially to the Brahmanas also. If they do something wrong, they are forgiving to them. Okay, attached to the Brahmanical nature and always jolly and truthful. Right? These are the symptoms of a Kshatriya. How do you identify a Kshatriya? He has to be very influential in battle, powerful, strong, and having that aura. Right? You can see those kings which were there earlier. They had that aura, right? It is said, I mean, Lilananda Prabhuji gives these examples, right? If you go to this museum, you can see those heavy, like, mm, armor. People used to fight with those armors. We had those kings who were strong, ready to fight, right? So those kinds of people, they were called Kshatriyas. Okay. All right. Let's move ahead. 23.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
yes. Go ahead, Mataji, Nirupama Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Translation. Being always devoted to the demigods, the spiritual master, and the Supreme Lord Vishnu, endeavoring for advancement in religious principles, economic development and sense gratification, dharma, artha, and kama, believing in the words of the spiritual master and scripture, and always endeavoring with expert in earning money, are the symptoms of the Vaishya. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Now, this is the description of Vaishyas. What are they supposed to do and what are their qualities? So, first thing is, they are always devoted to the demigods, right? So they worship the demigods also. So they do the karma kandi activities also. Then they have a spiritual, I mean, they are devoted to the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord Vishnu. They are always endeavoring for advancement in religious principles. Now, if you see this, right, like, in older times, if you go to any of our dhams, right, people have built these ashrams and all these facilities for devotees, right? Who built them? This is the Vaishya people who have built all this. Why? Because for this purpose only, endeavoring for advancement of religious principles, right? Because they are doing that, what is called as the dham seva, and so that people who come to the dham can peacefully live there with very nominal, uh, I mean, without spending too much money, and then they can become advanced in religious principles. So that was the idea of why so much facilities were built in those dhams, right? Even today, if you go to any of these dhams, you will find that these ashrams built long back, right? And they are still there, and it was done for this very specific purpose, to endeavoring for advancement in religious principles. So that is one example I'm giving, right? It just does not mean that only, but that is also a way where they endeavor, where they use their Lakshmi to in the service of the Lord, right? They are responsible for the economic development. I mean, the Vaishyas are responsible for the economic development and sense gratification. Now they are also allowed some limited sense gratification, dharma, artha, kama, and then moksha, right? Finally, believing in the words of the spiritual master and scriptures, and always endeavoring with expertise in earning money. Now, this we can clearly see, and this is one of the uh, very purpose people are living today. But there is a difference, right? People, when they used to earn money, they used to earn it with their hard work, not by cheating people, right? Today we can see people trying to earn money by cheating people, which is wrong. And we can see this principle of expertise in earning money, right? All the big businessmen you will see, especially people. I mean, I'm from a trading community, right? Our people are famous for trading, but then I mean, they will always think of how can I earn money. You will see Marwadi shops opening at 8 a.m. in the morning. No other people will open their shops at 8 a.m. in the morning. But this mercantile community or the trading community, they are always this is what it means, endeavoring with expertise in earning money. So keep the shop open for a longer time so that I can earn more money. That's what they're trying to do. Now, you might say that might compromise the other things. So people used to get up early, do all this, and then come to the shop. So that is what they are responsible and they do. And they are responsible for making sure that all the people in the society have resources available with them, right? So the Vaishya community is an important aspect of, because in this material world, right, it is said, right, without eating you cannot even do bhajan, right? So they are responsible for making sure that everybody is satisfied so that they can focus on the Supreme Lord. Okay, let's move ahead. 24.
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
you will read. Subara Prabhuji, yeah, please go ahead and read.
Offering obeisances to the higher sections of society, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, being always very clean, being free from duplicity, serving one's master, performing sacrifices without uttering mantras, not stealing, always speaking the truth, and giving all protection to the cows and Brahmanas. These are the symptoms of a Sudra, of the Sudra.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you want to read the purport? It's a small
Sure.
purport.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada ki jai. It is everyone's experience that workers or servants are generally accustomed to stealing. A first-class servant is one who does not steal. Here it is recommended that a first-class Sudra must remain very clean, must not steal or speak lies, and must always render service to his master. A Sudra may attend sacrifices and Vedic ritualistic ceremonies along with his master, but he should not utter the mantras, for these may be uttered only by the members of the higher sections of the society. Unless one is completely pure and has been raised to the standard of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya, in other words, unless one is a Dvija, a twice born, the chanting of mantras will not be fruitful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So these are the duties of the Shudra, that he serves the three other sections of the society. Now, it doesn't mean that they are exploited, right? They are very well taken care by they are supposed to be very well taken care by their masters, who take care of all their necessities and needs. And a Shudra is supposed to be with the master throughout his life. I mean, if you look into the Manu Samrita and understand the qualities of the Shudra, we will come to know that we are not even Shudras. A Shudra is never supposed to change his master. I mean, that's what is mentioned in uh, that Manu Samhita, right? But like now it's all destroyed and gone. It's, you might say, it's not practical. The society has reached that point that it has become not practical, right? That's the point. It's not that it is not practical. Earlier it was. Now the society has reached to a state where we can say that that is not practical anymore. But that's what it means to be a Shudra, where he has to be always clean, free from duplicity, not telling lies, serving the master, and they are allowed to perform sacrifices, but they don't utter the mantras. They are not supposed to steal, always speak the truth, and give protection to the cows and brahmanas, right? So these are all the symptoms of the Shudras. And uh, it's, as I said, right, this division was never based on trying to exploit people. It was never meant to be that way, but slowly that got into, and with the progress of the Kali Yuga, and that's what led to the collapse of the Varnashrama dharma, right? This is all very self-explanatory. Well, if unless there are questions, we can move ahead. 25. Anybody want to read?
I'll read, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Translation: to render service to the husband, to be always favorable disposed towards the husband, to be equally well disposed towards the husband's relatives and friends, and to follow the vows of the husband. These are the four principles to be followed by women, described as chaste. It is important for a peaceful householder life that a woman follow the vow of her husband. Any disagreement with husband's vow will disrupt family life. In this regard, Chanakya Pandita gives a very valuable instruction. Dampotyo Dampatya kalaho nasti tatra srihi swayam agataha. When there are no fights between husband and wife, the goddess of fortune automatically comes to the home. A woman's education should be conducted along the lines indicated in this verse. The basic principle of a chaste woman is to be always favorably disposed towards her husband. In Bhagavad Gita 1.40, it is said, Strishu Tasau Varshneya Jayate Varna Shankaraha. If the women are polluted, there will be Varna Shankara's population. In the modern terms, the Varna Shankara are the hippies who do not follow any regulative injunctions. Another explanation is that when the population is Varna Shankara, no one can know who is on what platform. The Varnashrama system scientifically divides society into four varnas and four ashramas, but in Varnashankara society, there are no such distinctions, and no one can know who is who. In such a society, no one can distinguish between a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and a Shudra. For peace and happiness in the material world, the Varnashrama institution must be introduced. The symptoms of one's activities must be defined and one must be educated accordingly. Then spiritual advancement will automatically be possible. Thank you. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So now it is, they're talking about, Narad Muni is talking about women in the society, right? How and what a woman is supposed to do. Now, this, I mean, if today, if you like, there is so much propaganda, right, to destroy this institution of marriage, correct? You see a lot of movies coming out where it is shown that a husband is very abusive and so on and so forth, right? And the wife is not is I mean, it's going way reverse to what is supposed to happen, right? And then we can see all that chaos in the society due to this. So for a woman, see, why is this mentioned actually? See, the point of all this, what we have to understand is why all this is mentioned. See, it is very simple. A woman, by following his husband, who is a first class Vaishnava, can attain liberation, can attain Goloka, right? That's the point, right? By rendering service to a husband who is a Vaishnava, automatically the woman gets all the credit and all the piety, all the knowledge, and she doesn't have to specifically endeavor to to become Krishna conscious, right? Just following in the footstep of the husband who is a Vaishnava, she can she can get that goal achieved, and that's why this is what is mentioned here, right? Why a woman is supposed to serve the husband or follow the husband. This is the reason why this is all mentioned, because for like you see, uh, our scriptures also say that women are supposed to be less intelligent. Now, quote unquote, there is a context to this, right? It doesn't mean that not they are not intelligent. They are not intelligent. There is a context to that, right? That context means they are not intelligent in terms of spiritual knowledge. Why is it said that? Because a woman is always attached, right? Because unless the woman is attached to the child or attached to the family, she cannot take care of the child, or she cannot take care of the family, right? So that's why it is said that women are considered less intelligent, because they are always attached, and a men are supposed to be detached, right? Because when the time comes, they should be able to leave the family. But that is not the duty of a woman, to leave the family and go away. A woman is always to be protected. That's what our scriptures say, because the context of all this is, what is the goal, right? The goal is to love Krishna, right? The goal is to get out of this world, right? In order to achieve that goal, that is why this particular thing is mentioned, right? Now, people don't understand this. They don't understand the context of this. They don't understand the reason of this, and that's why they don't cannot digest or take what is mentioned in the scriptures, right? That's why, and these portions are highlighted or shown to say that, see, the Vedic scriptures are not are distinguishing between men and women, and are not favorable for the woman, or they are trying to suppress the woman, or they are trying to suppress the Shudras, like that. But that is not the case, right? All this is, there is a reason, and we have to understand the reason and the context to all that. Okay, let's move ahead. uh, we'll stop at 8:40. Okay, so I think we should be able to finish also, but let's see. Translation, I'll just read this. A chaste woman must dress nicely and decorate herself with golden ornaments for the pleasure of her husband. Always wearing clean and attractive garments, she should sweep and clean the household with water and other liquids, so that the entire house is always pure and clean. She should collect the household paraphernalia and keep the house always aromatic with incense flowers, and must be ready to execute the desire of her husband. Being modest and truthful, controlling her senses, and speaking in sweet words, a chaste woman should engage in the service of her husband with love, according to time and circumstances. So again, further elaboration by Narad Muni on this. And as I said, I explained the context to all this. So, and we can see that in olden times, even now, right? It's not wrong to say this. Even now, you can see that the fulcrum of the house is the woman of the house, right? I mean, unless there are unless the woman is happy in the house, that family or the house cannot be happy. And they are the fulcrum around which everything rotates, right? If they are not there, like, it just all collapses. That's what is the I mean, they control that. That's what they are so strong and control everything, right? And uh, I mean, human psychology, people who study human psychology say that a woman is much stronger than a man, right? Like, emotionally, women are much stronger, and uh, they they can take up much more what a man can do, right? And this description of what the woman is supposed to do, or it is whatever is mentioned here, it's not that this is not something cheap, right? This is not something which should be considered as degrading the qualities or the intelligence of a woman. Again, as I said, the context has to be understood, and by doing this, what is the result, right? So if we understand that, you can see that this is also, I mean, see, the child needs that emotional support of the mother, right? And if the mother is not there, it all leads to all that problems. And with the modern society, you can see what the next generation will come in, where the full impact of the woman going out and working, and I mean, it's not like that impact will be felt much in a much bigger way, right? We, at least like in our generation, we had very few women working. Now in this next generation, there are like majority of the women are working, and in the going forward, this will become not a trend, but this will become the norm, and then that impact on the society will be felt much bigger going forward. It doesn't mean that, I mean, ideally, what the scriptures say is woman is not supposed to do the donkey work which a man does, right? But today's day and time and today's age, it's a slightly different scenario, and I don't want to get into all of that, but that's what we'll feel the impact of that going forward. Let's move ahead. 28th. Anybody want to read?
Shall I read?
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
A chaste woman should not be greedy, but satisfied in all circumstances. She must be very expert in handling household affairs and should be fully conversant with religious principles. She should speak pleasingly and truthfully and should be very careful and always clean and pure. Thus, a chaste woman should engage with affection in the service of a husband who is not fallen.
Hare Krishna, thank you. So there is a big purport given by Srila Prabhupada here. Now, it is very important. One very important thing which is mentioned in this is that if the husband is a Naradhama, right, the woman can leave the association of that husband. See, this is mentioned here, giving up the association of the husband, and she can give up the association of that husband, but it does not mean that she should marry again. Okay, so Prabhupada is, you can see he's so very strong on this, right? That the woman can give up the association of a wrong husband, but she should not marry again. See, there was no concept of divorce in Vedic society. So that's why Prabhupada is mentioning this, right? And he also says that if the wife is not chaste, then the husband can also leave the wife. So that is also according to, and he says that this is according to the description of Shastra. Now, these are all very, very controversial things. People can get very agitated with such kind of statements, where marrying again, Prabhupada is comparing to indulging in prostitution. This is a very, very strong statement. But we have to understand the context behind all this, and what. So see, he is not compromising on anything. What is mentioned in the scriptures is quoting it as is, right? So there is no compromise on no, he's not trying to sugarcoat all this, but these are very heavy statements for us to understand. Our brain is so wired, we are sold out so much by this media and all this, that we find these statements to be very I mean, not natural for us, right? But this is what the Vedic society and Vedic scriptures were earlier. Not, I mean, the scriptures are same, the society was earlier, right? This was what the society was, right? For us, it is very difficult to understand all this, or take it, but then that's the truth. You take it or don't take it is different, but then that is the truth. Okay. So we'll do, we'll there are 35 shlokas, I think, in this chapter. I will stop here. We can have some questions if needed, and then somebody can just finish this chapter next time. Is that okay, Mataji, or should I just finish it off quickly?
No, Prabhuji. Maybe till 30, then 30 to 31 to 35 next week we can cover, Prabhuji.
Okay,
Hare Krishna,
okay.
Prabhuji.
Yeah. Go ahead, Prabhuji. You want to read, Prabhuji? Or you have a question? Sorry.
Hare Krishna, are you hearing me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Prabhuji.
For the mantra, you must not give for Sudras, you have told, no?
Yes.
This is, but we are giving Hare Krishna mantra, which is Maha Mantra to
Correct.
everybody.
Correct.
Then,
Correct.
then we have not to give to Sudras.
So Prabhuji, what the Vedic mantra, right? What the Vedic mantra was, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Right now, this is one explanation. the Vedic mantra was Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, right? Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually reversed it. He
Yes,
said
yes.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. So in that way, in that the one of the explanation is that since this is not a Vedic mantra, since this is a reverse, it is no longer what is there in the scripture, right? So it can be chanted by anybody. And now again, the another explanation is this is an emergency, right? So the emergency is that is why, as Prabhupada also said, right, this is an emergency, and that's why we are doing things which may directly be not be allowed. I mean, in a situation of emergency, these things are allowed, right? So that's why this mantra is given to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that is
when
another
people ask why you are not chanting Hare Rama first, means you can give this answer.
This is one of the answers, Prabhuji. That see, there was so much objection when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started telling everybody to chant. There were objections from Brahmanas that Vedic mantra cannot be chanted, and that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reversed it.
Okay.
Okay, and he said now this is no longer a Vedic mantra, hence anybody can chant it, right?
Okay, understood. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll just do this 30th shloka and then we'll stop. The woman who engages in the service of her husband, following strictly in the footsteps of the goddess of fortune, surely returns home back to Godhead with her devotee husband and lives very happily in the Vaikuntha planets. Now you see, this is the context of all that what was spoken earlier. What will the woman gain? This is what she will gain. This is what is Narad Muni saying. This is what Narad Muni is saying, what he heard from Lord Narayan, right? So the Supreme Lord himself is saying that by doing this, she will attain what? She'll return home back to Godhead. And that's why our scriptures prescribe that the woman must faithfully faithfully serve the husband, provided then again that statement was very clearly made, provided that her husband is not an Aradhama, right? If he's not a Vaishnava, if he's not uh, a devotee, then it does not apply, right? She can leave the association of that husband. So that is also allowed. But then if a woman engages in the service of a husband who is a devotee, this is the result. So the scriptures very clearly explain why they are saying what they are saying, right? If you have that understanding, then these things become very clear and easy to understand. Okay,
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare
right?
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one quick question. Here it
Yes.
is mentioned, right? The woman engages in the service of her husband, following strictly in the footstep of the goddess of fortune, surely return home back to Godhead with her devotee husband, and lives very happily in the Vaikuntha planet. So the wife can live with the husband, but we know that one, that there is no relationship. We will forget that, right? Who's my husband? Who's my wife or my children?
Yeah. So they both return to the Godhead, and they are not living as husband and wife. It doesn't mention that, right? Does
No,
it say
lives
that?
very happily in the Vaikuntha planet. Both, na?
Yeah, both.
With her husband.
But
With
does
her
that mean
husband.
no? Please understand that she goes back home to Godhead and lives happily in the Vaikuntha planet. It doesn't with the husband, very true, but it doesn't say that the husband and wife live as husband and wife there. It doesn't say that. Both go back home to Godhead. Please interpret it like that. Not
Okay.
that they are husband and wife and they are living as husband and wife in Vaikuntha planets, right? That is not the interpretation here. They both go back home to Godhead and they both live there. It doesn't say that they live as husband and wife there. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna Mataji.
Prabhuji, I was wondering, all the Shastras, scriptures are for eternal. They are valid through across the yugas. And the Varnashrama dharma which is mentioned somehow is not applicable or is failing in Kali Yuga. Why should it be like that, Prabhuji? That is what I was wondering.
Mataji, take it like this, that it is not failing. It is not, see, we are not following it, right? You cannot say that since we are not following it is a failure. It is our misfortune that we are not following it. Correct? And a symptom of Kali Yuga is this only, right? A Kali Yuga means that we will not follow Varnashrama. Right? Kali Yuga is a yuga where everything degrades. So this high class system, which is mentioned here, is not followed, right? That's how you look at it. That this is a very high class system. Since people have degraded to such a level, they are not able to follow it. Now, it is not a failure of the system as such. It is a failure of the people, failure of the society, right? And mind you, this, like, even in Kali Yuga, right? The Kali Yuga started 5,000 years back, right? When Lord Krishna left. It's not that now 5 years, all these 5,000 years, Varnashrama system was not there. It is now in this modern society, as you look at it, this concept of Varnashrama system has got so very diluted that you can say it is not followed. But in maybe 1,000 years down the line, when Madhvacharya or other Ramanujacharya were there, at that time this Varnashrama system was there, right? It is not that it was just simply not there at any point of time in Kali Yuga. Correct? The society slowly and slowly is degrading and degrading and degrading, and this high class system cannot be followed, is not getting followed. So it's not a failure of the scriptures. It's not the failure of this Varnashrama system. It is the failure of the people. Right? That's how I look at it.
Understood, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, so since it's a working day, we'll stop the class. Thank you everyone for joining. And I am very, very grateful for this service on an Ekadashi, being able to take the class. Thank you so much. Please forgive me for all my offenses. And if I've said anything which might have hurt anybody, please forgive me. Thank you, everyone. So we'll stop the class.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you so
Krishna,
much,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu. Thank you
Dandavat
so
pranam.
much. Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Chakalpataru Kripa Sindhu Jaya Chapati Tanam.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.